Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiteleyverse with me, Connor Whiteley, for another daily story with a chapter from one of my novellas. Before I start today's chapter, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to buy this book and any of my other fiction, then they're all available from all major ebook retailers. You can order the paperback and hardback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore and local library if you requested. Also, if you want the AI generated audiobook, then you can get it from selected audiobook platforms and library systems like Kobo, Spotify, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Baker & Taylor, Biblioteca and Overdrive. Now, here's today's chapter. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did writing it.
Chapter 1. 100,000 years before the realm was formed, there wasn't a single grand mighty human kingdom, nor was there the Great Wall keeping the orcs out of the human land, and there certainly wasn't the southern region of the world trapping the trolls and other monsters from destroying the human land. The world was very different back then, and humanity was walking blindly into its own extinction, so a single woman wanted to change the fate of humanity and save everyone. The only problem was that she was a queen of the weakest kingdom. Queen Augusta Windsoro sat on her poorly made lumpy golden throne that was a disgrace of a throne if there ever was one. The diamonds, rubies and emeralds that had once been embedded into the golden throne had now fallen out and been robbed away. Even the throne room itself was nothing more than a mere shell of what it had been in her grandfather's time. Augusta still loved the cold, rough and chipped stone walls of the small throne room that was barely big enough to fit herself, her three best friends that made up her court, and anyone else who wanted to witness the business of the day happening. Augusta had never liked the floor because it was just so chipped, damaged, and it seriously didn't look like a throne room at all. She half expected the floor of a worker's home to look this bad, but she never dared utter those words aloud. Augusta truly loved her amazing people because they were always so kind to her, they loved her, and they supported her no matter what, so she did the same to them. Out of the 4 kingdoms, her one called Octogi had the lowest level of tax, best level of medical care in the human land, but it was also the poorest, and Augusta hated seeing how many of her people were starving. And the other kingdoms refused to help her. Augusta looked out the large oval window next to her, and focused on the wonderful stone spires of the castle, the little wooden huts of her people, and the massive brown streaks in the street. She desperately needed to fix the city's sanitation problem, but there was no money. There was never any money. The smell of poo-wee and gingerbread filled the air coming up from the city below, and it left the strange taste of burnt offerings on Augusta's tongue. "Your Highness," a woman said. Augusta smiled at her oldest best friend, Chief Witch Savannah Ben, and Augusta was so glad to have her in her court. Savannah was wise, fun, and very serious when she needed to be, but she also knew that her best friend never called her by a title unless it was serious. At least Savannah had dressed for the occasion, by wearing her long white robes, and walking around with her official stick that would destroy enemies in a single blast of magical energy. It was a shame that Savannah couldn't leave Octogi because the 3 other kingdoms hated magic, but Augusta loved Savannah all the same. "Douglas and Ianican cannot join us today," Savannah said, trying her best to sound regal. Augusta wasn't impressed. She needed the advice of the military, and Douglas was the best general she had ever had the pleasure of working with. He was diplomatic, skilled and kind. No one understood how hard that was to find in a military man. It was even worse with the Lord Mayor of the capital not attending today. Augusta needed to know exactly how the people were doing. Ianican was a good man, if not a little out of touch with the people, but she needed all the help she could get. "Ianican is busy dealing with a group of barons that arrived at the city last night, requesting an audience with you." Augusta just shook her head. She knew exactly what barons they were, and why they were here in the first place. They were the same 5 barons that had verbally attacked her every single chance they could get over the past 2 months. They called themselves the Freedom Front Barons, and Augusta wouldn't have minded if those barons had wanted to become independent from Octogi, but there were mines on those lands. And those mines were the only things keeping her economy going. If she lost the mines, she lost everything. And Douglas cannot attend because he's dead. Augusta laughed out of shock. She had only seen Douglas 2 days ago, when she had sent him to the front line against the Orc invasions to deliver a new supply of weapons. Of course, like everything in Octogi, the weapons were badly made, cheap, and they wouldn't last long. But it was the best she could do, and there were already rumors of a full-on rebellion brewing in the military. Augusta couldn't allow that at all, not only because she didn't want to be killed, but because she knew exactly how the military would rule her country. There would be massive conscriptions, slave camps, and full-on invasions of the other kingdoms, and in the end Octogi would be wiped out, along with all the amazing innocent people that she loved. She just looked at Savannah. "Tell me about the other kingdoms. I know you sleep with Harvok, he must have told you some intelligence." Savannah grinned. "You really do know everyone in the kingdom." Augusta didn't have the heart to tell her. It was how she had managed to rule for 10 years without getting assassinated. Longmano's king was killed last week, and his son, same age as you, has taken up the throne, and he is receiving political guests at the moment. That wasn't exactly the worst idea Savannah could have suggested. It wasn't like their kingdoms exactly got on, but Augusta and the former king did get on well personally, because whilst Octogi was in the north, fighting the orcs, Longmano was in the far south of the war, constantly fighting trolls, monsters, and demons. Augusta had used that relationship once to get reinforcements for the war against the orcs, but after a slaughter and all the Longmanoians were killed, the king never sent help again. "What about Lordigo and Jasper?" Augusta asked, really wanting something she could work with. "You are not going to Jasper, and that is final." Augusta laughed. She didn't exactly want to go to the richest, most powerful, and most brutal kingdom either. Jasper was ruled by a horrible king that had hated Augusta ever since she had come to the throne. The damn king was always throwing all his weight on the other kingdoms to stop sending food, drink, and other supplies to Augusta. She was really looking forward to when the king died, but his witches and wizards were far too powerful to ever allow that to happen. "But you might be able to do something with Lordigo, our good and honorable neighbor, because they have a massive problem." Augusta leant forward. She had always liked the sound of problems, because problems were opportunities. Lordigo has recently entered a full-scale civil war between King Alfred and his 2 sons, the Dukes of Grace City. Augusta slowly nodded, because that really was rather interesting, because King Alfred was a challenging man, but he always believed in war over friendships. It was only when her father decided to kill Alfred's wife for the sake of it, that Alfred had stopped raiding Octogi. The sons were also fairly good people, and Augusta had even kissed one of them at one of her father's parties, so seeing if she could lean a hand in the civil war might earn her a valuable ally. "Order the coach, I want to make a visit to Lordigo immediately," Augusta said. Savannah laughed. "August, we cannot just go into another kingdom without permission. I'll contact my counterpart in Alfred's court, and get a meeting arranged for tomorrow morning. But what do you plan to get out of it?" Augusta shrugged as she stood up and realized just how awful the damn throne was, as her joints ached and pounded. "An ally, but I'm thinking of unification. I think the sound of that, Your Highness, Queen Augusta of Octogi and Lordigo. That does have a nice ring to it." As Augusta watched her best friend leave the throne room, and 3 royal guards wearing dirty gold armor stormed in, she just smiled because that really was a great thing to hear, and she hadn't even realized that was what she wanted until it had come out of her mouth. But why stop at one kingdom when Augusta could be queen of all 4?
Welcome back everyone, it's me again, Connor Whiteley. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's story, because I flat out love writing, creating stories and sharing them with you. If you really enjoyed today's story, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the in-app engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to buy this short story or any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers, and you can get them from your local library if you requested, and you can order the paperback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore or local library if you request it. Lastly, if you want to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Connor Whiteley. Also, if you know anyone who would enjoy today's story, then please share it with them. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help spread the word about the channel. So, thanks for watching the Whiteley Verse, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.